Hello, welcome to What's Your Story? This week, my guest is a man who was born in a family of 10 siblings. Although he was from a large family, he was a very shy man. He was an introvert. Even when people comes to his house, he hides in the cupboard. But today, he stands before a crowd of 2,500 people and talks to them on how to transform their life. Welcome, Mr. Ravindarajan.
Thank you, Ganesh. Glad to be here.
Hiding in a cupboard, interesting. So please tell me about your childhood.
Okay, for some unknown reason, I happen to be a shy and introvert person. My inferior complex, I'm not sure where I got it, but I used to be fearing almost everything when I was a child. And it's quite convenient for me to hide in the cupboard and do my own stuffs whenever there's a huge crowd in the family. And especially if visitors or family relatives start visiting. Usually I don't like to be called and interviewed by some of these relatives.
So I assume you must have been very small when you were young to hide in cupboards.
So. Yeah, I think so. In fact, I have this one particular cupboard in the room which is big enough to house my world, where I have all these sweet wrappers, which are transparent. I have this small torchlight and I make my own movies in my own world in the cupboard.
So you were a closet man.
kind of.
Okay. So after that, how would your life go?
Okay, I like reading. For some weird reason, I have this habit of reading everything that I find. So I spend a lot of time reading on my own. So because it's a big family, there are 6 other cousins living with us. So you can imagine, it's a huge family. Nobody noticed who's missing. So I used to be in that cupboard and do my own things. I like to read with my torchlight. And that gives me a totally different perspective about everything.
This was your primary time, right?
That's right. So I somehow turn out to be good in my education because I like to read. And for my UPSR, those days they call it Penilaian Darjah 5, not Standard 6. So I got 5 A's among the top in the district. In fact, I was surprised myself. So I got to enroll into MRSM. Those days, you don't have non-Malays in MRSM.
MRSM is Maktab
Rendah Sains Semara. I went to the Kuantan one. So we were the only 2 Indians. They were experimenting. That time, Anwar Ibrahim was the education minister.
So you were the first Indians in MRSM college?
In MRSM college with 3 other Chinese. Only left with these 2 hours later because most of them left. They cannot adapt to this totally majority Malay environment. Out of 1,000 students, we only have 5 non-Malays, 2 Indian and
so
3
must have
Chinese.
been a culture shock for you.
It's huge culture shock. I really couldn't fit in first 1 or 2 years. And then the ragging culture there was quite serious. Even in campus, they don't rag that way. My campus life was a UKM. They told me that ragging in that university was bad, but they have no idea what we went through in MRSM.
And you were 13 years old then,
yeah,
right?
12 years old, 11 plus, and we get ragged, serious ragging, like almost like military ragging.
Good.
Just because we were non-Malays at the time, they were experimenting, right? But that really ended up making me a tougher person. Earlier I was very scared, right? But 2-3 years in that kind of environment, you become very hardened. So that gives me a different quality of my personality and psychology, which I realize now in business, that becomes an asset. You are ready to face any kind of challenges or risk, right? Which is, now I'm doing a lot of leadership program, right? So I think that tough part is missing in a lot of young.
So this was your secondary school?
Secondary school.
So at
I went to campus matriculation and then campus after that, right? University.
Normally, matriculation guys ends up in medicine.
Oh yeah, that's another nice story to tell, or sad story to tell. I somehow I wanted to become a physician.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Okay.
Because
all Indians wants to become doctors.
Not really. My parents or my family was not encouraging, but I thought I can do something big, something nice, something good, contribute to the community kind of thing. So I use the word physician because I read a book, a very thick story book called Physician. And that shows that I can heal the world, right? Okay. I can heal the world.
Okay.
So I really was set to become a doctor. So that's one of the reasons I think I got good marks in SPM and all that. So went to matriculation. You're supposed to end up in a medical matriculation, but education policies changes very easily. So I end up in first year in university, not medicine. Yeah, so it's a science higher, they call it, right?
Okay.
So, and I have to compete with all the Form 6 students, and the quota system. So I end up not getting the seat, and I felt really lost, right? I don't know what to do, what to continue with another 3 years for. So at that lost moment, I discovered that I can do a lot of other things in the campus, other than studying.
Okay.
So I activated many of these clubs, student clubs. Mm-hmm. I activated the zoology club. I activated the botany club, which were all too theoretical, too boring. Mm-hmm. But I made all those expeditions and travel around the country and even outside the country a compulsory thing. I got a lot of funds from the university to do research.
So you're traveling?
Outdoor. So we went expeditions, we went mountain climbing, we went all kind of jungle trekking.
There's a term for this, isn't it? I mean, they call it in universities Last Bella or something like that.
Exactly. Lawatan sambil belajar, Last Bella, you remember that. Okay, so I was so active in everything, student activities, co-curriculum and sports. I used to play tennis and badminton for states. So I was traveling, I was enjoying my university life.
So you're not studying?
Not studying. In fact, lecturers always look for me. Why this boy never attend class? But anyway, that exposure, it's a lot of fun, a lot of exposure. That exposure made me an extrovert now.
Okay, at that point, what did you want to become? I mean, you want to become a doctor?
I don't know. After that, I don't know. So I was just doing anything that makes me happy.
You were lost?
Actually a lost soul, and found something different, the real world.
So when you graduated, so right now...
Oh, I was in this faculty called zoology faculty, but I was doing this program, sports physiology. It's like sports science, related closest to medicine, and it's a sports physiology. And I was supposed to work with Majlis Sukan Negara at that time, sports.
So did you manage that?
Yeah, I was a lab rat for almost 9 months. I hate the job because I remember I went all around jungle trekking and all these trips, and this job I have to be in the lab from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, back to your primary days.
Back to the cupboard.
The cupboard.
So I was crying inside just to get out of this. And I quit the job against my family's and I ended up becoming a salesman, door-to-door salesman.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only reason I want to do sales is I want to get out and I want to meet people, not in the lab. So you can imagine, no salary, only commission.
What were you selling?
Oh, I can never forget that. McGraw-Hill's world's first video encyclopedia. It's an amazing product, nobody buys. It's so damn expensive. So we were 6 months, we were going town to town, city to city throughout Malaysia, selling this video encyclopedia. And 6 months, no salary, no income, no commission.
And you never sold anything?
No, I never sold. But the end of 6 months, That was a nice story also to tell, but too long. I ended up getting 6 sales. 6. 5 plus 1, yeah, 6 sales. And I become the top salesman in the company. They sent me for incentive training with Bob Proctor. That's when I met this man, Bob Proctor from Canada, doing sales training and motivational training.
You mean you went to Canada?
No. He came here for the first time in KL, Singapore KL. So my company, as an incentive, is top salesman, what? So they sent me for this training, and I saw this man, and it really blew my mind off when he was talking about things that, remember that physician book I was reading when I was a child, and that this man is talking about it. It's how you change the world, heal the world, transform people's life just by inspiring their mindset, right? He uses this word attitude or behavioral psychology. It's basically about changing mindset, right? That means if you change yourself, you can change your life, and you changing your own life, you can change the whole world. Change starts with you, and that's a book I wrote after that. It's called Change Start With Me.
You wrote a book?
Yeah. It's not a popular book, but it's a very powerful, transforming book. We use that in our training.
Okay, so after Proctor, what was it?
Oh yeah, after Bob Proctor, I was in Singapore, running Bob Proctor Singapore, right? And
you mean now you got hired by Bob Proctor?
Yeah, Bob Proctor, he saw me attending many of his programs. So he thought my company is big and sending me again and again. Actually, no, it's my own money. He said, why? You're spending your own money. Most of the other companies are paying for these participants, right? I said, because I like the material. It's really nice. And he said, do you want to work with us? I said, sure. So I became a marketing exec for them because I was a salesman, right? And then there was an opening in Singapore. I took charge of the Singapore office for marketing. And that is where I had this accidental opportunity to become a trainer. Bob just called me to the stage and announced his program. So remember the introvert person who's shy with the public? Now I'm in front of the crowd of 200 insurance managers. I just go like, good. I want to say good morning. So they all laughed, and Bob said, that's a good start.
Okay.
So, and then he suggested, why not you take up the trainer program and become a master trainer? So that's when I went to Toronto to actually get.
So your final calling was to become a trainer?
Final, I thought final.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got trained to become a trainer, and I discovered something really nice, teaching people, sharing this knowledge, right? So almost 30 years now, I've been a trainer, and I like teaching.
Maybe your introvert thing when your younger days helped you here. Suddenly, you could understand people, introverts.
Oh yes,
when you
so.
train
You're right.
them
You're right. You understand, because there's a lot of introspect thing when you do mindset change. You have to go within and discover yourself, right? So when you have silent moments, quiet moments, lonely moments, when you're alone with yourself, I think that is very important to transform your life, rather than somebody from outside, from the environment, trying to impose change on you. I think that helps. You're right.
Helps.
And it's easier to understand people who do not know how to express and communicate their feelings.
You see, sometimes being an introvert is an advantage too.
I think so. I see the same thing with my daughter. She was exactly like me when she was young. She doesn't mix with anyone. In school, she doesn't have friends. She only has one friend from day one until today, kind of thing, until she discovered football. My daughter plays football, semi-pro in UK. So when she was, I think, 12 or 13, she came to me and said, I want to play football. I thought she just want to have fun. Go and play. No. I want to play with a professional team. I said, your school got a team? No. You want me to go and talk to your headmaster? No. She said, I already talked to the principal. So what he says? Oh, he said, okay, if I get a coach. Oh, so you want me to get a coach? No, I already talked to the boys' coach. So you already done all the talking. So what you are telling me? I need a football boots. An expensive one because you want to play professional football.
Yeah, that's why they come to fathers,
exactly.
Right?
That's the credit card. Okay. So, and I saw her transforming in front of my eyes because she's doing something she's passionate with. Same thing happens for this introvert boy because suddenly I discovered something I can be passionate about. Teaching. Right? Even though I'm not a good public speaker, I'm not a good person, good in expressing myself, but that interest and passion, I think that allows you to really master some skills.
So your next journey was?
Okay. Then I met Tony Robbins in US, or Sydney first. Then he actually opened up a new world, saying that we used to call this success philosophy. It's a philosophical thing, not scientific. Then he said, no, NLP is very scientific. It's no more pseudo-scientific. So
NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming. And Tony uses NAC, neuro-associative conditioning. I discovered this is so scientific, just like the sports physiology I used to do. Right? Now I am a brain scientist. Your personality, your psychology is nothing other than synapses in your brain. And that chemistry is not being taught in medicine or science. It has been looked at as psychological field. It's not psychology. It's neuroscience.
So finally you're back into medicine?
Again.
In a way, yeah?
In a way.
Okay.
In a way. So that excites me more because I'm a quantum physics freak.
Okay.
So I like all this scientific thing. Then you realize these new theories of energy, quantum entanglement and all that, fit so well into the other realm of metaphysics, they call it.
So now you're into the next...
I'm totally into a new field now. That excites me more. And then I realized the training I was doing is no more fun. I want to explore more, research more, how transformation can be done differently. And this digital economy hits in.
So the trainer has become a transformer.
Yeah. So I realized I have to become a consultant, doing more research.
So what was your big project as a transformation trainer?
Okay.
Or?
Money-wise, the big project was Maybank, money-wise. But if you ask me what really that excites me, the biggest project is this Malaysian Indian blueprint. I don't know whether you heard of that. This was in 2012.
Was it implemented?
Let me tell you about the blueprint first. This is the first of its kind for the digital economy. See, all societies, all nations are moving into, at that time, 2010 onwards, to this new world called digital economy, new IR 4.0. And most organizations, countries, and societies are not ready for it. Their strategic planning, blueprint, and all this wawasan, all that, is based on the old knowledge of the world. The new world is so different.
Who engaged you to do this transformation?
Okay, at that time, MIC, Malaysian Indian Congress, a political party, and it was headed at that time by the President, Dato Sri Palnivel, G. Palnivel.
I mean, I thought MIC had too many blueprints, right?
Yes and no. They had this strategic planning. They call it blueprint. A blueprint, if you know, it is an exact roadmap how to achieve certain things, right? So if it's a blueprint means it's like a plan.
It doesn't end up in blue color on the side of the table or something.
Yeah. So we engage some of the most top consultants in digital economy to do that blueprint for this small community of 2 million people, which is a very ideal pilot project for a country of this size. So we did the first minority community blueprint for the world.
How do you take off?
It is supposed to be the best work of our consultants, but it didn't take off at all. Because of...
Why am I not surprised?
No. At that time, peculiarly, in a very different way, there were two camps in MIC. One is the how you call that? A and B.
One is progressive.
I don't know how to.
One is conservative
them.
and one is
Yeah,
liberal.
one is moving forward. One is want to remain status quo. One belongs to the government ruling, and another one is not really. So you have this political turmoil.
If I'm not mistaken, at that time it was the Palanivel camp and Subra camp and all that.
Do we need to mention names? I mean, consulting, we don't mention
they were leaders.
Okay, kind of. But coming back to the real stuff, it was such a good blueprint, could have turned this Indian community into the most progressive minority community in any part of the world in 15 years.
So what happened then?
Political turmoil, then the new team came in, and then the new government also do not want to implement something like that. So it didn't happen. I still have that copy, and I'm very proud of that copy. Yeah, this is
maybe you should try to bring it in, and the current system, maybe the current politicians might be interested.
Every idea has its time, maybe.
You can always modify. I mean, time is just, if you change the elements in a format, you see, when we have passion for something, the passion doesn't change. Only the elements inside it has to change. So
true. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
If you have believed so much in it that it's going to bring a change to a minority community, okay, and make them very progressive.
True.
I think maybe you should make another attempt to go and meet our leaders and say.
Actually, such blueprint can transform a community very easily, very doable, because a similar project has been done in Israel and also in India. In India, they transformed this particular women group in numbers of 1 million people. 10 million people. Yeah, 10 million of them transformed in less than 2 years.
So after that, now that failed?
Okay. My consulting work come to an end just 2 months ago when I'm invited by Tan Sri Lee Kim Yew, the Country Heights Holdings Group and Palace of Golden Horses hotel owner, to form the Asia Center for Leadership, right? And I wouldn't have gone into it because because of the guru I met. Remember when we were doing this blueprint work for Dr. G. Palanivel? I end up with him in Tiruchi, India, meeting a guru. And
something like a Swamiji or something?
Swamiji, yeah. He's a Siddhar, they call it in Tamil, right? And he became my master. So I accidentally discovered my guru, right? Who changed my life purpose, right? That is a huge personal transformation. Now you ask me why it is connected to this. You were
transforming people and suddenly find a guru who transformed you.
Exactly. I used to teach that everybody need to transform their life or reinvent their life every 7 years. This is just 7 years ago that I discovered a new life purpose. Right? With all my life experience and knowledge, suddenly I realized there's something more I need to do. Okay, I'll come to that, what it is. And then this Tan Sri Lee Kim Yew's invitation to start the Asia Center for Leadership and Civilization, first of its kind, because we are teaching something called Asian philosophy of leadership, which is very different from what we teach in the universities and leadership centers throughout the world. Most of the leadership programs in the universities, research and leadership centers is actually just 2,000 years old. Why? Because it follows the Roman military leadership philosophy. It's about how you achieve your mission with a strategic plan.
So in this system, the system you all devised?
Asian Center for Leadership is different because we are studying civilizations like Lemuria, Kumrigandam, right? We are studying Atlantis, which many of the science fields thinks this doesn't exist, right? We are talking about the Sumerian tablet, which is 440,000 years old civilization. We have human civilization which is dated back to 2 million years. And they are very high-tech civilization, which most of the scientific field will not want to acknowledge.
So finally you are sitting in something which is completely different from what you started off.
Exactly. And the way they lead is so different from the current leadership.
Now, one interesting thing I wanted to ask you was, how did you get so taken up by the Guruji you met in India? What's the story there?
Remember, I'm a very scientific person. I question everything. If it's not scientific, I don't continue talking to you. And you were there, and all the questions I had in the flight before reaching the place.
Some
I
questions,
was so skeptical.
Some questions. Right? What are the questions you want to ask? I always wanted to know. I mean, what do you ask the Guruji? If you meet them actually.
Why God created?
Okay, that's interesting.
God really exists?
What did he answer?
Who's the real God? If God's inside you, why you don't realize it with your own brain?
So how you answered?
He doesn't say anything. He just make you, he touch you and opens up your third eye kind of thing.
Okay.
That's mystical, right? So I was like shocked out of the system. So the 50 years of all this conditioning that you have on earth, suddenly it doesn't mean anything. So that kind of experience, it's out of the world experience. So it's very difficult to scientifically or logically express that. It's a long story actually. Yeah. So I've been going like last 7 years. I've been going like almost every month. And every time you go, you discover something new.
I see.
And the mystical experiences are. You can write a book.
That's very interesting.
So for a very skeptical scientific person like me to get into this, it is a total transformation actually.
Yeah, it is. Actually, you're transformed from an introvert to become an extrovert.
My wife do not recognize me after that.
Yes.
Yeah. That kind of transformation. So the new purpose we're talking about, he mentioned this word in Tamil. May I say it first?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, in Tamil he said, Aanmiga Arasiyal.
Aanmiga Arasiyal.
Yeah, I said I'm not interested in politics. He said, no. They say Aanmiga Arasiyal is basically Talaimathuvam, leadership, right? In English term, we use the word spiritual leadership, right? And my research, in my doctoral research, is about SQ, spiritual intelligence, like EQ and SQ. It's all just connecting the dots. Now, an Asian philosophy of leadership is very spiritual.
Yeah, I mean, Asians
energetically.
Asians are more towards, especially now with yoga is catching up in the world.
Exactly.
It's like finding yourself. And
talk about leadership. If a king leads his kingdom, he conquers all the other nations for what?
For the wealth.
That's now. Those days, ancient, when I say ancient civilization, is hundreds of thousands of years. They don't conquer any nation if they're doing well. If they're doing poorly, or the leader of that country is abusing or treating the subjects badly, king like Rajaraja Cholan, they conquer the countries. They go and take over just to replace the leadership, not to loot the country.
Interesting.
So what is the purpose of these leaders? What is their reason to lead? It's for the goodness, to make the world a better place.
Well, the current political system in the world, okay,
that will be the last place I go, Ganesh. That will be the last place I go.
China,
politics,
war,
my God,
economic war.
Okay, the definition of leadership is another thing. It's part of my life story. It's not something that I study and I want to teach. It's when I did my doctoral research, literature review, there are 350 definitions for leadership. I was like, which one to use? How come one subject can have so many word to define it. Basically, they don't understand. That's why you say more words. You know, when you do not know the answer, you tend to speak more.
True.
Right? So they have 350 definitions for leadership. And to summarize it, it simply means you need to be proactive. That means willingly need to take the responsibility of improving others' life.
Yes.
If you take that definition, you cannot be selfish. Show me one leader who's not selfish, especially in politics.
Now, I mean, I was asking you all easy questions and you asked me a tough question, you know. That's not fair.
That is the kind of answers I'm looking for.
Good.
Those are the kinds. So, Asia Center for Leadership, under my leadership, is going to transform Asia and Africa. That's all we are focusing on, not the developed countries. Creating leaders. We want more leaders.
Yes. Actually, you know, it was, you know, hearing your story, you know, how an introvert person, you know, goes through life, you know, in different levels.
Totally.
You know, it was very interesting, and it was very interesting to have you here and hear your stories.
I'm so glad that somebody's willing to listen to my story.
No, thank you very much for coming, you know, and I like it. I mean, it was very interesting.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Okay.
You are doing a great job.
Okay.
History is always somebody's story, isn't it?
It is, it is.
Okay.
It was nice meeting Mr. Ravin Rajan this week. Okay, we heard his story, how an introvert became an extrovert and how life transformed for him. Okay, till next week. Bye.